I'm here at the library, which is a little change of scenery from how you usually see me. I've been at home a lot, but here I am with all the books that you can call us to check out if you want to. And so for our Twisted Fairy Tale this week, we're going to do a twist on Cinderella. And I think it's one of the silliest books we have at the library, but I've always really liked it. And it's called Bubba the Cowboy Prince, A Fractured Texas Tale. And it's by Helen Peterman, illustrated by James Warhola. There's a little bit of a glare on the cover, but it won't be so bad when we get to the pictures inside. It says, The Wicked Stepdaddy, Bubba, Dwayne, Milton. Once a strapping young feller named Bubba lived on a ranch with his wicked stepdaddy and his hateful and lazy stepbrothers, Dwayne and Milton. Bubba's stepdaddy spoiled Dwayne and Milton to no end, but Bubba worked from sunup to sundown, doing the chores of 3 ranch hands. Bubba never complained, though. He loved ranching. Dwayne and Milton spent their days sitting on horseback, bossing Bubba around. Get them dogies along there, Bubba, ordered Dwayne. Yeah, and watch out for them cow patties, added Milton. You know how Daddy hates for you to track up the house. So he's doing all the work while they just kind of make fun of him and yell at him. Now, Ms. Lurleen, who lived down the road a piece, was the purtiest and richest gal in the county. She owned the biggest spread west of the Brazos, and she loved ranching too. But it was lonesome work, and after a while, she decided it was time for some companionship. I aim to find myself a feller, she said, one who loves ranching as much as I do. And it wouldn't hurt if he was cute as a cow's ear either. Ms. Lurleen decided to throw a ball. She sent invitations to all the ranchers in Texas. Soon, the day of the ball arrived. Milton and Dwayne spent all day getting gussied up in their finest duds. Bubba about ran himself ragged waiting on them. Bubba, shouted Dwayne, fetch me my bolo tie. Bubba, shouted Milton, get my boots polished. Bubba, shouted his wicked stepdaddy, brush them horses and wash that wagon. It's all pretty familiar, right? By the time Dwayne and Milton and their wicked stepdaddy were ready to go, Bubba was exhausted. Still, as they climbed into the wagon, Bubba asked, Can't you wait for me to get ready? I want to dance with Ms. Lurleen too. Dwayne and Milton and their wicked daddy hooted and hollered. Why, you're sorrier than a steer in a stockyard, said Dwayne. Can you imagine Ms. Lurleen dancing with the likes of you? Said Milton. Ms. Lurleen won't even wipe the dirt clods off her boots with that raggedy shirt of yours. And you smell more like the cattle than the cattle do. Bubba took a look at himself. It was true. He didn't have a decent shirt to wear. His boots were downright disgraceful. And he did smell a bit rough. Milton and Dwayne were right. Ms. Lurleen wouldn't dance with the likes of him. Bubba hung his head. He felt lower than a rattlesnake in a goalie. I don't actually know what that means. I guess it would mean the rattlesnake is stuck. Milton and Dwayne and their wicked daddy went on off to the barn. Bubba mounted his horse and headed for the pasture to check on the herd. The sky was getting darker than a black bull at midnight. It looked like a Texas thunderstorm was brewing. He's all by himself. Bubba had just arrived at the cow pasture when a bolt of lightning struck, knocking him off his horse. Bubba was stunned for a moment, but when he got himself picked up, he heard a voice. Go to the ball, Bubba, said the voice. Bubba looked around. No one was there except him and the cows. I wonder who it is. Now, Bubba figured he'd bonked the bejeebers out of his bean. That's another way to say head. 'cause the voice was coming from a cow. She chewed her curd for a moment, then said, "I'm your fairy god cow, and I can help you go to the ball." Bubba sat up, rubbing his head. "I'd like to go, Miss God Cow, but shoot, I don't have a thing to wear." The fairy god cow swished her tail, and Bubba's raggedy clothes changed into the handsomest cowboy duds he'd ever laid eyes on. His jeans were crisp, his boots were shiny, his shirt was dazzling, and his Stetson was whiter than a new salt lick. "Why, I look downright purty," said Bubba. And he does look nice. Hold this a little closer so you can see. And there's that fairy god cow. It's pretty funny. The fairy god cow swished her tail again, and a nearby steer turned into the most beautiful white stallion Bubba had ever seen. "Now, you go on off to the ball," Bubba said, "and have a good time dancing with Ms. Lurleen. But you'd best be home by midnight, 'cause that's when the magic runs out." "Yahoo!" shouted Bubba as he jumped on the white horse and galloped off to the ball. And there he goes. When Bubba arrived, the hoedown was in full swing. But every time Ms. Lurleen finished a dance, she yawned. "Oh, there goes another $10 Stetson on a 5-cent head," she complained. So she's saying, a lot of hat without a lot of brains. Guess she's looking for somebody smart. "Where are all the real cowboys?" she asks. By the time it was Bubba's turn to dance with Ms. Lurleen, it was almost midnight. Soon as she saw Bubba, Ms. Lurleen's eyes lit up. "Why, you're as cute as a cow's ear," she said. Bubba blushed, then took Ms. Lurleen in his arms and started dancing. Dwayne and Milton turned purple with jealousy. "Who is that dude?" said Dwayne. "I don't recollect seeing him before, but he looks a mite familiar," said Milton. "Do something," said their wicked daddy. "That cowboy is winning Ms. Lurleen's heart." And there they are, Ms. Lurleen and Bubba dancing. And the stepdad and the stepbrother's angry. As it turned out, Milton and Dwayne didn't have to do a thing, because Bubba and Ms. Lurleen were in the middle of dosey-doing when the clock struck midnight. Suddenly, Bubba's fine duds turned into the dirty rags he usually wore around the ranch. He looked sorry, and he smelled worse. "What is that awful smell?" asked Milton. "Why, it's Bubba!" shouted Dwayne. Bubba turned 14 shades of red, apologized to Ms. Lurleen, and ran out of the room. "Wait!" she yelled, chasing after him. But Bubba didn't wait. He jumped on his cow and lumbered off into the night. In the ruckus, he lost one of his dirty cowboy boots. Ms. Lurleen clasped it in her arms. "This is the boot of a real cowboy and the man I want to marry, and I aim to find him." Ms. Lurleen went back inside, and though she asked everybody at the ball, nobody knew who the mysterious cowboy was. Nobody except Dwayne and Milton and their wicked daddy, that is. But they weren't talking, because they're jealous. They're not nice to Bubba. The next day, Ms. Lurleen went from ranch to ranch looking for the cowboy who owned the boot. When she came to Dwayne and Milton's ranch, both brothers tried the boot on, but it didn't fit. Ms. Lurleen had climbed on her horse to leave when Bubba rode up. He was dirty and sweaty and smelly from working with the cows, and he was only wearing one boot. Ms. Lurleen jumped off her horse and ran over to Bubba. "Try this on," she cried. Bubba took his dirty old boot and pulled it on. "Much obliged, ma'am," he said, blushing. It fit perfectly. "You're my prince and cowboy boot," shouted Ms. Lurleen. "I'd recognize that smell anywhere. Marry me, cowboy, and help me work on my ranch." Dwayne and Milton and their wicked daddy threw chicken fits. But Bubba just smiled, and he and Ms. Lurleen rode off into the sunset. They lived happily ever after, roping and cowpoking and getting them dogies along. And that's the end of Bubba the Cowboy Prince. You could pretty clearly recognize some Cinderella there. So I hope you enjoyed our Fractured Fairy Tale today. I'll see you next Friday, again with a different story. Have a good weekend. Bye.